Let's jump now to a slightly more complex scenario where you would like to unify data coming from different services. So let's say you have a data point, which is pretty much the same data point, but coming from different sources. And the problem is that the reliability of those sources is different. There are some sources which you can rely more on, but some may sometimes yield a wrong result. Or a different problem is that you don't have all the information all the time as your user is moving through his user or customer journey. So if a person is a lead, you don't know everything about him. You may not have all the data points yet. So you don't want to rely on those raw data points for your segmentation because they may not be there yet, or they may not be reliable enough. Here, the data unification strategies comes into play, and there are two things. I will show you slightly more complex one. Uh, but you can think about something as simple as a fallback strategy or a priority strategy. These are just two names for the same thing. When you tell how, okay, Clearbit data is my first choice. If it's not available, I want to fall back on geolocation information based on the IP of the user. If it's not found, then I would like to fall back on the phone number. If it's available, you can derive the country from the phone number country code in the beginning. If, or for instance, if the firm is available, then it should go first. But there is also additional strategy, which may sound a little bit more complex, that we call quorum, which can look at all of those attributes at the same time, and return the value which have the majority, which the majority of sources returned. So I will show you that right now. And actually, the connector I'm going to show you is something which is still a work in progress, but I wanted to give you some sense of where our product is heading in this area. So I will search of a connector that we call Unification. You won't find that on our website yet, but we make it available for certain users. But the thing is that behind the scenes, it's using a JavaScript code, but it's just an adapted UI that makes it easier. In the connector settings, you will find a user unification section where you can define your computed or unified attributes. So I have the priority strategy that I talked, and I have a quorum strategy. Let me just maybe start again, so you'll see how I build such a computed attribute. That will be the quorum strategy, which will look at multiple attributes at the same time. So let's start to implement that scenario I've shown you on the slides. So I want to to compute country code unified attribute. And now I can say it may be coming from Clearbit, the country code returned from the enrichment tool. It can come from type firm, which will be a firm submission, but it can also come from phone number. Oh, sorry, I deleted by accident, and country code coming from phone number, which will be probably some additional computation we have made before to derive the country code from the country code. And the last part was website country code, which will be based on the geolocation. And after I save that, this logic will start running, and it will start looking at all those four attributes at the same time to decide which value is the most reliable. So if I go to the users list, and I'll show you what was the input of that operation. I have very bare user profile, which only contains those values in question. So as you can see, I have 4 attributes. 3 of them are saying this person is coming from Portugal. So his phone country code is +351, which is Portugal. His website location tells us it's Portugal. He even said that in the type form, but one other source is saying something different. And let's say what our quorum strategy will result in. It will look at all those values, and it will create those two new attributes, country code and country code confidence, and it will say the majority of the source attributes were having PT, which is Portugal, as the value, and the confidence here is 75% because 75% of your input attributes yielded the same result. So we can use that confidence to use it as a filter, so you only make certain decisions on your on the data activation only if the confidence is high enough. Let's say maybe if you have more attributes, you can set it to 90% or something like that, and only after make use of certain unified values. So that was one of the ways you can unify multiple attributes into one.